The officer's gun cleared its holster before Daniel Mercer even finished stepping out of his vehicle. "Hands where I can see them." Daniel froze beside the driver's door, palms open in the air, eyes locked on the weapon pointed directly at his chest. "I'm complying," he said calmly. "There's no reason to escalate this." The patrol lights behind him flashed across the empty highway shoulder in violent bursts of blue and red. Route 19 was silent. No traffic, no witnesses, just one deputy with his finger resting dangerously close to the trigger. "Turn around," the deputy snapped. "Now." Daniel didn't move immediately. Instead, he spoke slowly. "My identification is inside my jacket pocket. I'm federal law enforcement." The deputy stepped closer, too close. "I didn't ask who you are," he said. I told you to turn around." Daniel studied the badge. Bryant Cole, Greenridge County Sheriff's Department. He kept his voice steady. "Deputy Cole, I'm informing you I'm a federal investigator. I am not resisting you." Cole's expression changed. Not confusion, not caution. Something else. Something harder. "Out here," Cole said quietly, tightening his grip on the weapon. "You answer to me." That sentence told Daniel everything he needed to know. This wasn't procedure. This wasn't professional. This was personal control. Daniel slowly reached inside his jacket. "Careful," Cole shouted. "I'm showing credentials," Daniel replied calmly. He removed the leather case and opened it. "Federal Investigations Bureau, Special Operations Division." Cole stared at it. Silence filled the roadside for 2 long seconds. Most deputies would step back. Most deputies would apologize. Cole did neither. Instead, he leaned closer and said something Daniel would never forget. "Anybody can print a badge." Then he raised the gun higher. "Turn around." Daniel didn't argue. Instead, he pressed his thumb quietly against the small emergency transmitter clipped beneath his belt. Hundreds of miles of encrypted communication activated instantly. A silent alert began moving through federal response channels. And somewhere far above the highway, aircraft engines were already preparing to start. Cole stepped forward and grabbed Daniel's wrist. "You think flashing fake credentials scares me?" he said. "They're not fake," Daniel answered calmly. Cole ignored him. "You people drive through here thinking you're important," he continued. Thinking rules are different for you." Daniel watched his patrol car camera. Still recording. Still capturing everything. "That camera rolling?" Cole asked suddenly. "Yes," Daniel replied. Cole smiled slightly. "Good." Then he reached forward and slammed the door shut hard enough to shake the vehicle. "Because tonight," he said quietly, "you're going to learn how things work in Greenridge County." Daniel's pulse stayed steady. His voice stayed level. "You're making a serious mistake." Cole laughed once. "No," he said. "You are." Then headlights appeared behind the patrol unit. Another sheriff's cruiser, then another. 2 deputies stepped out. Neither asked questions. Neither looked surprised. One of them leaned against the hood casually. "What's the situation?" he asked. Cole answered without lowering the weapon. "Oh, got a problem traveler refusing instructions." Daniel spoke immediately. "I've identified myself as federal." The second deputy shrugged. "Everybody says that." Daniel studied their faces. Not confusion, not concern, recognition. They knew exactly what was happening, and they were participating anyway. Cole moved closer again. "Hands behind your back." Daniel stayed calm. "I am not resisting, but you are detaining a federal officer." Cole leaned in so close Daniel could smell the coffee on his breath. "Out here," he whispered. "You're nobody." Then the third deputy reached forward and grabbed Daniel's shoulder. "Let's move." Daniel allowed it, not because he agreed, because he already knew what was coming next. Above them, somewhere in the darkness beyond the tree line, a low vibration began moving through the air. At first, it sounded like wind. Then it sounded like thunder. Then the deputies heard it too. Cole paused. "What is that?" The second deputy looked toward the horizon. "That doesn't sound like traffic." The vibration grew louder, stronger, closer. Daniel finally spoke again. "That," he said quietly, "would be my backup." Cole frowned. "What did you do?" Daniel met his eyes calmly. "I followed procedure." The sound intensified rapidly now, rotors cutting through the night sky. Cole turned toward the road. Bright white beams suddenly swept across the highway shoulder from above. Then the helicopter appeared. Low, fast, directly overhead. Dust exploded across the roadside as the aircraft descended. Cole stepped backward instinctively. "What the hell is this?" Daniel answered calmly. Federal response. 2 black vehicles approached fast from the opposite direction at the same time, unmarked, no sirens, no hesitation. They stopped sharply beside the cruisers. Doors opened immediately. Agents stepped out. Body armor. Identification displayed. Weapons visible but controlled. One of them spoke clearly. "Sheriff's deputies, lower your weapons." Cole didn't move. "This is my stop," he argued. The agent stepped closer. "No," he said calmly. "It isn't anymore." Cole looked at Daniel, then at the helicopter, then back at the arriving agents. "You called them?" Daniel shook his head once. "No," he said. "You did." The second agent approached Daniel directly. "Agent Mercer?" "Yes." "You safe?" "Yes." The agent nodded once, then turned toward Cole. "Deputy," he said, voice calm but firm, "I'm a step away from your weapon." Cole hesitated. For the first time that night, uncertainty appeared on his face. "You don't understand," he said. "This man refused instructions." Daniel spoke quietly. "I identified myself immediately." The second deputy looked between them. "You really federal?" The agent beside Daniel stepped forward. "He's exactly who he said he was." Silence spread across the roadside again. Only the helicopter remained loud now, hovering, watching, recording everything. Cole swallowed, then slowly lowered his weapon. And that was the exact moment everything started to fall apart for Greenridge County Sheriff's Department. If you're already feeling the tension building here, and make sure you stay with this story, because what happened next inside that sheriff's station shocked even the federal agents who arrived that night. Deputy Bryant Cole tried to recover his confidence as the helicopter lifted slightly higher above the highway's shoulder. "This is unnecessary," he said, forcing his voice steady. "We were handling a routine stop." The lead federal agent didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked directly at Daniel Mercer. "Agent Mercer, did you identify yourself before this weapon was drawn on you?" "Yes," Daniel answered calmly. "Immediately." The agent nodded once. Then he turned back toward Cole. "Deputy, place your weapon on the hood of the vehicle." Cole hesitated again. "This is my jurisdiction." "No," the agent replied evenly. It stopped being your jurisdiction the moment you aimed a firearm at a federal officer without cause." The 2 deputies standing beside him exchanged nervous looks. One of them quietly stepped backward. The other removed his hand from his belt. Cole noticed, and suddenly he realized something important. This situation wasn't going his way anymore. "What happens now?" he asked. The agent answered clearly, "Now we go to your station." Cole blinked. "For what?" Daniel spoke before the agent could answer. "For documentation," he said calmly. Cole stared at him. That's not necessary. The agent stepped closer. Yes, he said. It is. The convoy arrived at the Green Ridge County Sheriff's Office less than 15 minutes later. The helicopter followed overhead the entire time, waiting, watching, recording. When the vehicles stopped in front of the station entrance, Sheriff Leonard Pike was already standing outside, arms crossed, jaw tight, eyes locked on the federal agents stepping out of their vehicles. "What exactly is going on here?" Pike demanded. The lead agent approached him without hesitation. "One of your deputies pulled a firearm on a federal investigator during a routine roadside interaction." Pike didn't look surprised. Instead, he looked annoyed. "Well," he said, "that sounds like something we can handle internally." Daniel stepped forward. "No," he said quietly, "it isn't." Pike turned toward him slowly. "And you are?" "Agent Daniel Mercer." Pike studied him carefully, then looked toward Bryant Cole. Cole didn't speak, didn't move, didn't even meet his sheriff's eyes. And in that silence said more than words ever could. Pike turned back toward the federal team. "You're making this bigger than it needs to be." The lead agent replied immediately. "No," he said, "your deputy already did that." Another federal vehicle arrived, then another. More agents stepped out. The front parking lot filled quickly, and suddenly the atmosphere changed. Even the deputies standing near the entrance stopped talking, stopped moving, stopped pretending this was routine. The lead agent turned toward Daniel again. "Agent Mercer, were you recording the interaction?" "Yes." "Dashboard camera?" "Yes." "Body transmitter active?" "Yes." The agent nodded once. "Good." Then he turned toward Pike. "We'll need access to Deputy Cole's patrol footage." Pike didn't answer immediately. That requires paperwork." "It requires cooperation," the agent replied. Pike's expression hardened. "You're standing on county property." "And you're obstructing a federal inquiry," the agent answered calmly. The parking lot fell completely silent. Then Daniel noticed something. Another deputy near the entrance suddenly turned and walked quickly back inside the building. The lead agent noticed too. "Lock the exits," he said quietly. Two federal agents moved immediately. Doors secured, vehicles repositioned. And suddenly, Greenridge County Sheriff's Office was no longer operating normally. It was operating under investigation. Pike stepped forward. "This is unnecessary." The lead agent shook his head once. "No," he said again. "It's overdue." Inside the station, and Bryant Cole's locker was opened less than 20 minutes later. No one expected what they found inside. The first evidence bag appeared quickly. Then another, then another. A deputy watching from across the hallway slowly sat down in a chair. "What is that?" he whispered. A federal evidence technician answered without looking up. "Unauthorized seizure reports." Another bag appeared. "Unlogged property." Then a third. "Cash." Daniel watched Cole carefully. Cole's face had gone pale. "This isn't mine," Cole said. No one answered, because everyone already understood something important. This wasn't random. This was patterned. Then one of the agents opened a sealed envelope from the back of the locker. Inside were photographs, license plate numbers, vehicle descriptions, driver notes. Daniel recognized the format immediately. "These are stop targets," he said quietly. The lead agent nodded. "Yes," he replied. And suddenly, the hallway felt smaller, colder, sharper. "How many?" Daniel asked. The technician checked the list. "More than 30. Sheriff Pike stepped forward quickly. "That doesn't prove anything." Daniel turned toward him. "It proves everything. Because those weren't traffic stops. They were selections, planned, repeated. protected. Then another discovery changed everything again. A locked drawer behind the locker wall panel. Hidden, secured, intentional. Inside were payment envelopes. Dates, initials, amounts. The lead agent stared at them carefully. "Protection money," he said. Pike's voice rose immediately. "You don't know that." The agent looked up slowly. "Oh, yes," he said. "We do." And at that exact moment, another federal vehicle pulled into the station parking lot outside. But this one didn't stop at the entrance. It stopped beside Sheriff Pike's truck. Two agents stepped out holding a sealed warrant. Daniel read Pike's expression before anyone spoke. Fear. Real fear. "Sheriff Leonard Pike," one of the agents said clearly as they entered the hallway, "we have a federal warrant to search your residence, effective immediately." "No," Pike answered instantly. "Absolutely not." "It's already signed," the agent replied. Cole finally spoke again. "You can't do this." The lead agent turned toward him. "We already did. The ranch outside town was searched before sunrise. Hidden storage rooms were opened, financial records seized, vehicles photographed, weapons catalogued. And before noon the next day, Sheriff Leonard Pike was placed under federal arrest. Bryant Cole followed shortly after. Their trial lasted less than 3 weeks. The evidence spoke clearly. Dash camera recordings, stop lists, cash envelopes, internal cooperation statements from deputies who finally chose to tell the truth. When sentencing day arrived, the courtroom was silent. Bryant Cole received 21 years in federal custody. Sheriff Leonard Pike received a life sentence without parole. And Greenridge County Sheriff's Department was dissolved before the end of the year. Agent Daniel Mercer returned to work the following week. Same calm voice, same steady presence, same quiet professionalism he showed that night on Route 19. But the message from that roadside stop traveled far beyond one county. It's because sometimes the biggest investigations don't begin inside offices. They begin beside highways, under flashing lights, with one wrong decision and one person who refuses to stay silent. If this story kept you watching until the end, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment where you're watching from. Because stories like this remind people everywhere that accountability still matters.